Up? Okay, guys, I am trying this new software where I am live on Facebook and on YouTube on my computer, but I can't figure out how to get my Instagram, so it's all on the computer. But bear with me here. I'm just gonna go live on Instagram on my phone. What's up, guys? So I might be looking back and forth a little bit. I'm going live on Instagram on my phone. I haven't figured out yet how to get that set up on my laptop to go live on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram all together. But we're going to figure it out. So we're just going to wait for some people to join here. But today we're going to cover the question I got, and I put it on my story. It was a great question because people talk about, doing a lot of cardio when dieting and all that kind of stuff. But what about doing cardio for the off season, right? Or when we call off season, or bulking mode, or a gaining phase, or when we're trying to build muscle, essentially gain weight, right? So we're gonna wait for some people to pop up on live. What's up, Brandon? Hi, Chandler. Wyatt, what's going on, guys? I'm super excited to go through this with you because a lot of people, I think, don't have the right perspective of cardio, the utilization of it, what it's for. They might correlate cardio to weight loss. This is a great question about should you be doing cardio in the off season. So we'll just have people keep joining on here. I'm just gonna dive right into it so we don't wait too long. My dude's stoked for this info today. Hey, thank you. I appreciate it, man. I'm excited to go through it, see if I can help you guys out. If you have any questions, make sure to put them in the little chat box there, and I'll make sure to answer them for you guys. So essentially, the more people that are hopping on here, we're going to talk about should we be doing cardio in the off season or in our bulking or gaining phase. So this all starts with it depends, and I'm going to probably say that with a lot of my answers, but relatively where we're starting at, are we starting at really lean and we're doing a lot of cardio? Are we starting at not doing any cardio? Are we starting already overweight? Depending on where you're starting your bulking phase, right? But the main thing I want to bring up today is the perspective of utilizing cardio, whether that's steady state, low intensity, medium intensity, doing HIIT or high intensity interval training, whatever it is. Alyssa, glad to have you on here. Cool. So whatever it is, we have to realize that that is going to be benefiting us in a cardiovascular way, right? So primarily like HIIT and medium intensity. Low intensity is better for like circulation within the body. But all those are going to be obviously causing caloric burn, right? Or we're burning calories or utilizing calories to do those activities. But a lot of people will talk about cardio for fat loss. And that's not necessarily how I like to approach things. Like I said, it depends on the adherence of the person to their nutrition because you can't really mess up cardio. You can do it or not do it. With nutrition, sometimes there's indirect variables that you might be not tracking correctly or eating what you think that you're eating in terms of calories and macronutrients. But for the most part, a lot of people don't like doing a lot of cardio, right? I know I don't. Right now, you guys see on my stories, I am doing 3 sessions a week of 20 minutes of walking, just getting some steps in. That's it. Nutrition is prioritized. Now, some people do well with that. I'm eating a little bit lower in macronutrients right now. Some people might not deal well with that, so it's better to implement more cardio. But where I was going with that is from a cardio perspective, implementing it or not, it's not going to be contributing directly towards like muscle mass of retaining muscle mass, like causing any sort of hypertrophy when you're trying to gain muscle. Say for in the instance in the off season in your bulking phase, it's not going to be causing hypertrophy. So if you think you're going to grow your glutes or your quads or whatever doing all this cardio, you're not. That is going to be more predicated towards the cardiovascular benefits, your endurance, stuff like that, right? It's different muscle fibers, different types of exercise. The resistance training is the thing that's going to be causing muscle growth if you're in that bulking phase or if you're dieting muscle retention. right? So I always tell people, would you rather do a lot of cardio, get a lot of output, and yeah, lose some weight, but would you rather look skinny or would you rather look athletic, right? It depends what look you're looking for, because if you're not looking for this athletic look, you want to be really slim and slender, then yeah, maybe not prioritizing weight training so much, but rather just losing total weight and might be more beneficial for you. But if you're wanting to lose body fat but retain the muscle you have to look more athletic, um, more round shoulder caps or your biceps or whatever muscle group, your glutes, especially for females, if you don't do resistance training, you're going to lose weight, but you're just going to look skinnier. So I don't really recommend doing a lot of cardio in general unless you need to, meaning your calories are getting low in a dieting phase and you just got to put in some cardio because you don't want to go lower in calories. Now, with the bulking side of things, this is what I personally do with my clients or with myself. Um, when you're in off season, we're already trying to eat in a caloric surplus, and depending on where we're starting that bulking phase at, body fat percentage wise, you're going to try and keep growing as long as you possibly can by slowly adding in food to stay in that caloric surplus, because that's what we need in order to build muscle tissue, right? Um, but our bodies have like a set point that a range of body fat likes to stay at, that our hunger hormones are kind of regulating good at, or energy's good, or sleep's good. Like we just feel good. Then it starts getting just like when we're in a dieting phase and we're going below that set point, our body starts resisting, our hunger levels go up, we feel tired, all that kind of stuff. It's the same on the opposite end of the spectrum, where our hunger signaling is actually gonna go down, where we're not gonna want to eat, right? We're gonna probably feel a little more lethargic, all that kind of stuff. And so where I'm going with this is cardio is going to be a form of caloric output, right? So if we have a form of caloric output in there in the off season, and maybe we're already having to eat a lot of food and we're force feeding ourselves getting to that point, then it might not be really beneficial, because now you're trying to make up what you just burned in cardio and having to add more in to still create that caloric surplus to keep progressing and building muscle tissue, right? So I don't really implement a lot of cardio in the off season, if any. What I do, instead of doing a medium intensity or hit training, especially with those two, it'll take an amount of recovery to recover from, which is taking away, in my opinion, from the intensity and recovery from your resistance training, which is the primary thing building muscle, right? But what I'll do is simply just have like a step counter, if you want, like how many steps you're getting in a day, or just planning some walks. What I like to do is honestly not think about the set time as another job I got to do, but rather make sure that I go out with Kaylee or with friends or whatever, and I'm just doing something active maybe twice a week, right? That's my cardio, because that is just, I think it's good for circulation. Like I said, you get a little upregulation there, and you probably feel better rather than just like not doing any form of like activity. So that's what I do for cardio. When my calories are going up, I'm bulking. Obviously, my primary focus is gaining more and more muscle tissue, right? But like I said, there is a point in time where hunger signaling will start to decrease, where I'm not hungry. And Kaylee saw this, and it was just crazy, because your food, the types of foods that you eat will change, meaning going for more nutrient dense foods, like lean meats and vegetables and all that kind of stuff when your calories are low. While on the opposite end of the spectrum, I'm eating like a lot of protein powder, drinking a lot of protein powder. I'm having a lot of like bagels and breads and kids cereal and just like really calorically dense foods, because I'm trying to reach a certain caloric intake, and me doing a bunch of cardio on top of that, it's going to have to make me to eat more in order to still reach that surplus. Okay. So I hope that was like informative. Do you have any questions? Put them in the comment box here, because it's really up to you, but I wouldn't suggest doing a lot, if any, cardio in your bulking phase, if you can get away with it. Like I said, it's all depending on where you start at, because if you're, say, starting your bulking phase, when you are super late, like you just finished a dieting phase, right? Maybe your calories came down, your macros came down, you increase cardio to try to keep causing that caloric deficit, right? If you got to that low point and now you want to start like reversing coming out of that, well, the cool thing here is you can do what's called upregulating, like your metabolism, because as you start to diet down, um, your metabolism is going to start adapting to those new input or the macronutrient inputs, right? Like it's going to start becoming more efficient at burning calories, because ultimately our bodies don't want to die. So if we started at like 2,500 calories and we started eating 2,000 calories to cause a deficit, right? Well, if we kept losing weight week on week for forever, ultimately we'd go through all of our body fat and then muscle tissue and then our organs and our bone, like everything would keep going and dissipating, to try and function, and we would ultimately die if we just didn't ever adapt metabolically. So that's why our metabolism will start adapting and slowing, but it's just becoming more efficient at burning calories, meaning it takes less calories to do the same objectives as it did before. So with that though, it's the opposite end of the spectrum where, let's say you're in the end of your dieting phase, you're doing a lot of cardio, you're not eating very much food. Well, I wouldn't just going into your bulking phase cut all of the cardio. I like to cut cardio usually like in half, but I like to just try and get more steps in because walking is easy and it's really great, like listening to podcasts or going on a walk with your spouse or whatever, the dogs, get you active, get you outside. I just feel like from a psychological standpoint, it's really good. But if you can keep that up, then you can start raising food, and start upregulating things without accumulating a bunch of body fat, right? And so say that let's say for example, you ended a dieting phase, but you weren't doing very much cardio. You just primarily used nutrition, right? Well, coming out of the dieting phase, if you wanted to actually increase your steps per day and increase your food intake, well, in theory, you would still be in a deficit and you probably keep losing. So that means that you can increase your steps if you want and really increase your food. So you start feeling better, you feel more satiety, all that kind of stuff. But you just increases your um, metabolic out or your caloric output with just steps. And so the cool part is there is adaptation there too, where upregulation will happen, where as you're adding more food, your body is going to increase thermogenesis, which means it's going to, like when you eat food, it takes an amount of calories to burn and digest the food, with absorption and digestion, all that kind of stuff. So it takes a certain amount of calories to even break down the food you're eating, and that's usually around like 5-10%. So you are already getting upregulated there, so saving in your caloric piggy bank, I guess you'd call it, but also increasing the steps. Usually with more food, you're more energetic. So usually the intensity, I notice when I'm walking and I'm just calorie deprived, it's a little slower. When you're full of food, it's a little higher intensity. So usually that caloric burn will be more, just because as you're adding in food, usually you feel better. So like fidgeting, like what I'm doing right now with my hands, like all this kind of stuff, that's burning calories, right? And like it'll compound over time over the week, and it'll just create a greater caloric burn, but it's just offsetting that increase in food. So that's where you can usually maintain your body fat percentage, if not your scale weight, for a little bit, and then you can slowly bring food back up, and then from there, like technically that's going into your bulking phase, but you just set yourself up so well where you maintain your body fat percentage. You're just doing steps. Your food's already at a decent level. And now you can really go into it full bore, and you should probably just start decreasing your steps a little bit if you want. Take out all that medium intensity, or HIIT training, and just focus on some more low intensity stuff. Just that's something that's not needing a lot of recovery, so you can start prioritizing all of your intensity and efforts towards the weight training, the thing that's actually building muscle, right? So, anyways, that was a lot there, but hopefully that answered the question of like, should you be doing cardio in the off season? I think it's great for cardiovascular benefits, obviously, the heart health and all that kind of stuff. I think it's important, but I just don't think that it's a necessity in excess, especially higher intensity sessions of cardio, whether it's HIIT or medium intensity. Sometimes medium intensity would be fine. I like to every once in a while like play a pickup game of basketball or whatever, right? But I just think if your primary goal is from a body composition standpoint, like I said, focus more on the getting steps in, better circulation, and then just focusing your recovery and your intensity towards the resistance training. So, anyways, guys, if you have any other questions, you can obviously DM me, put it in the chat box or anything like that. But that is it. One smart cookie. Thanks, AP. Yeah, no problem, dude. I mean, that was a lot of info. Hopefully it wasn't too confusing. I like to really give you guys as much value, obviously, as possible. You know that from just, if you've been following me on my Instagram, I don't want to be like the other coaches just giving out cookie cutter kind of, oh, yeah, do this cardio and this cardio. Like, it isn't, those aren't the things that are getting you results. We've got to understand the full picture here. And I usually tend to see with clients and with people, it's usually just a perspective shift of understanding what's going on and having an educated decision moving forward on what works best for you. So anyways, yeah, like I said, if you have any other questions, I want to start doing more of these lives. And if you are in need, if you're like trying to figure it out on your own, great. If you're like to that point where you've been trying stuff, you might be a little stuck, and you're wanting like to go through what a full game plan would be for yourself, I have a couple different options. Obviously, I always have my private coaching, which I take you, we do an application process. We go through everything of what you would need and understanding what I teach, which is called the 3 pillars. Goes through different stuff of like how to eat whatever you want without sabotaging results. Yes, that means like having ice cream and pizza and still losing body fat. 2, like lifestyle workouts, more specifically around understanding your schedule, your lifestyle versus the results that you're wanting and combining the two. And then the third one is it's called lifestyle recalibration, which is just essentially going through how to implement all of this into your lifestyle and not having resentment or anything like that, because a lot of times people will be told to be put on this cookie cutter meal plan, eating the same foods, bro foods, the healthy foods or whatever, and doing the certain weight training, push pull legs or upper lower, just everything's the same, and then doing a bunch of cardio, and that's what's going to get us to lose weight. Yes, it probably will in the beginning for the first 2 to 4 weeks. Then what happens is the psychological factor comes into play where you start getting cravings, or you start getting tired, or you don't like to eat the same thing every day, or you have a birthday to go to, or you just feel sore, you hate having to go to the gym 5 days a week. Like, think about that. Think about the repercussions. And when resentment occurs, friction happens, and it makes you not want to do it. If you don't want to do it, the probability of you sticking with it for a long term, meaning maybe you lost the weight, but like you keeping it off or keep progressing, the probability of that is pretty low. And that's what I've noticed. And that's why I want to change how honestly, I want to change the industry of how we go about things so we can educate people to implement it into their lifestyle so they actually know what's going on, rather than just giving them a plan and saying, hey, follow this. So anyways, if you want to go down that route, you can just check out my website, www.apperform.com. It'll have an application where you'll schedule time with me, fill out the form. Now, I am introducing something, this is of late, that is essentially a consultation with me. So you're going to pay for a one-time consultation with me, and this is usually for people who can't maybe afford my private coaching. But what this is you have to have a prerequisite of understanding calories, macros. You already have like something in place that you understand, and we will go through it together, because maybe you're stuck, maybe you don't have full understanding of it, or maybe what direction you need to go, right, in order to keep progressing. So it's pretty much like we're going to lay it out, go through it together, and come up with a game plan for yourself going forward. This is all self-driven, no check-ins with me, no communication. It's just that one-time consultation. And then I will take a look over things, give you my opinion and advice about what you're doing right now and how to move forward. And that's it. Like I said, that's an alternative for people who can't maybe afford my private coaching. But if you're interested in that, you can shoot me a DM. So yeah, other than that, guys, hopefully I can figure out how to get this recorded and then like repost it on the story so people who are just joining can go through and watch it, because I think there's a lot of information there that people would take value from, especially from a cardio perspective. But anyways, I am going to head out, but shoot me more questions so we can do more of these lives. Not only will it benefit you, but I think it'll benefit a lot of people that are watching. So thanks, guys. Talk soon.